World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, The Art of War, and wishing everyone happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and a happy day, whatever you relate to. I hope that you understand that you're blessed if you woke up this morning. That's the most important thing. And this is part of a tradition. The first time I believe that we're doing it virtually, but for the last at least 20 years, I've had the pleasure of interviewing a wonderful individual, a great friend for many, many years, I think almost over 50 years, Lloyd Strayhorn, a numerologist, and the person who at the end of every year would come on and kind of give some predictions about the new year. And we're going into 2022 now. And as always, I have as my guest Mr. Lloyd Strayhorn. How are you doing, Lloyd?
Tony, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Good to be back.
It's always a pleasure, Lloyd. I, of all of the years that we've been together, every time we have an interview, I always learn something new.
You know? Yeah. And you know what? There's always something new to learn. That's the nice thing about it. And once you think you know everything, you know nothing. So I just find it.
Educated fools.
Yeah.
That's what my dad used to call them.
Yeah. Boy, there's a whole bunch of them out here too.
Oh, man.
You know? And the sad part about it is ignorance is a multi-billion-dollar industry in our communities.
That's unfortunate, but true.
Yeah. That's the thing. And it doesn't have to be. Really doesn't. Anyway, How you doing? We are here for another go round. We are looking forward to the brand new year, which is literally right around the corner, 2022. And for people, first of all, to give people a background of me, I am an astro-numerologist. I have been knowing you since the late 60s, 70s. So you know how long we've been knowing each other. From doing Harlem Week, the first ones we did that covered 125th, 135th, 150th.
1974.
Yeah, yeah. So we were one of the first to do that. So it has a nice history, and Harlem Week and its events have only just gotten bigger and wider, more well known, and stuff like that. But getting back to the year coming up, it is a 6 universal year. Now, for people who may not understand what it is, I just added the 4 numbers of 2022. So 2 plus 2, no, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. So therefore, it is a 6 universal year. Universal, the word means everybody. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care what part of the human family you come from. Everybody's going to be influenced by this particular year, as it is the year we're about to leave, which is 2012, which adds up to a 5. 2021, excuse me, that adds up to a 5. So 6 rules home, family, health, adjustments, education. It also rules the stock exchange, believe it or not. It deals with definitely getting into education, being more of a work in progress, doing things of that nature. Those under the signs of Taurus and those under the sign of Libra and those that are born on the 6th to 15th to 24th of the month will be the beneficiaries of this new year coming up. So the last time this cycle occurred was in 2013, because 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 3 equals 6. The difference is in 2013 versus 2022 is that year had 4 different numbers. It had a 2, a 0, a 1, and a 3. This one is a 2, a 0, a 2, and a 2. Now, there's going to be a whole change in the diet. I'm telling you now, because if you notice how a 2 is written, it's almost shaped like the intestines of the stomach, Tony. So therefore, a lot of people are going to be wanting to get away from GMOs. A lot of people want to start going more organic, although I think the largest owner of farmland now is Bill Gates, because he his desire is to chemicalize things. But people are going to be more prone to more organic, holistic types of things rather than things that are chemical, or going back to plant-based. Because if you look at the 2 and how it's shaped like the intestines of the stomach. So therefore, people will be a little bit more conscious about their eating habits, their dietary laws, things of that nature. So that's going to be.
And our new mayor is a vegetarian.
Yes, I know. Eric Adams, he's born September the 1st. And you know what's interesting, Tony, as a footnote, you and I know Eric Adams, and we also knew the Honorable David Dinkins. The one thing that these gentlemen have in common was they were the only 2 African-American mayors of New York City.
Right.
The thing is that David Dinkins was born on the 10th, 1 plus 0 is 1, and Eric Adams is born on the 1st. So they're both number 1s. And New York, and you rule by the number 1. Just a little footnote, you know how.
And I'm a number 1, I believe, from
all the way to 19th. Let's try that one. Now, for people who say, well, how does that work? Simple. See, in numerology, if you got 2 numbers, you got to reduce them to 1. So people will say, well, you're born on the 19th, 1 plus 9 is 10, and that's where they'll stop. But in numerology, you got to keep adding until you got 1 single digit. And so therefore 1 plus 0 equals 1. Now, what throws people off is 2 birthdays, the 28th of the month and the 29th of the month. So people born on the 28th of the month, they says, well, 2 plus 8 is 10. They would be absolutely correct. 2 plus 9 is 11. They would be absolutely correct. But under the rules of numerology, under what they call the Fadic system, F-A-D-I-C, it means as long as you got 2 numbers standing, you got to keep reducing until you get to 1. So let's say you got somebody born on the 20th. Well, they'll say, well, 2 plus 0 is 2. That's how it is. So this is how you add up people's birthdays, you add up their names and things like that, because all down to one single number or the root number that governs. So if you got somebody born on the 16th, well, 1 plus 6 is 7. And that's what got me hooked. I said, oh, this is too simple. The numbers go from 1 to 9. I got 10 fingers up in here. I got this. Not knowing that it would be a journey and an odyssey that would take me like to amazing places.
And you've done amazing things, Lloyd. Matter of fact, on the wall over your shoulder, I see all of your books. Numbers of You. Uh,
Oh yeah.
You've been busy.
Yes, I have. And it's interesting. When everything went virtual and people were doing things from home, I would look like this, see what books they were reading. I guess that's what people are looking at my books to see what am I reading or whatever the case is. But yes, those books are behind me. I got them in color code so they stand out. The orange is the Bible, the green book is for my workshop, because the show, when I teach, Tony, I tell people that numbers are universal. And one of the greatest testament is that I now have an online course. I have close to 3,000 students already in 71 countries, translated into 23 languages.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's my brother Skip. I'll tell him you said hi later.
Tell him I said hi. I ran into Skip not too long ago.
Yeah. So and I tell people when I met Minister Louis Farrakhan on a couple of occasions, he said that what I did was called supreme mathematics. In fact, the universal language of this planet is mathematics. This is how we're able to send a rocket to the moon. We're sending rovers and satellites out into space, all with precision. This is why you can look at the forecast and I'll tell you what time the sun is going to rise, what time the sun is going to set. All of it is by math. Everything we do is by math. And when you get in your car now and you punch in the address, well, you can thank Dr. Gladys West, an African-American woman. She was given an honorarium from the state of Virginia back in about 2 or 3 years ago. But this sister developed the GPS. She got to be in her late 70s or 80s. And her husband is a mathematician too. And so,
and it's funny because, people used to say, I hate math. I'm not good at math, but math, as you say, when you talk about the pyramids, when you talk about all of that stuff, and I believe, Lloyd, and I believe that in many cases we were stirred away from math, because math is so important that many of the minorities will say, oh, you don't need to deal with that math. It's too difficult.
Well, it's not only just the math, but the English. You need the English to communicate, okay? And you need the math to figure out things. But this thing of numerology is an ancient African science. Now, people will say, oh, so and so. It has nothing to do with my ethnicity and stuff. It is a historical fact that numerology is an ancient African science. For example, they says that Pythagoras is given the credit for being the father of numerology. But if you look at his history, he went into Egypt and stayed there for 22 years.
Yeah.
And then became the father of this and the father of that. That was Herodotus, Thucydides, Plato, Socrates. All these cats have one thing in common. They all made their pilgrimage into Egypt and came back the father of this, the father of that. And based upon that, and I tell people that if it's not an African in its origin, why, of all the great man-made structures, does the Pyramid of Giza happen to be built at the exact center of the earth? You don't do that willy-nilly. I'm sorry. It just doesn't happen, Tony. Okay. And even to this day, they're still trying to figure out how the heavy stones lifted and how the pyramid is aligned with the constellation of the universe when they have their celestial seasons and transits.
And based on not being able to understand it, they say, well, it had to be someone from outer space or it had to be aliens. But even if it was aliens, the aliens had a message, know thyself. And they picked Africa to develop. So maybe the aliens are African. That's probably why we don't know about UFOs.
Well, the more we are kept as a people in the dark, the better for those that would like to be in positions of power. So, for example, when you mentioned about from space, there's the Dogon people of Africa. The Dogon people knew about the Sirius star, which was a planet. They knew the circumference, they knew the density, they knew the distance and everything. And yet, if you look at the pictures of those guys, because there's the Sirius Mystery, one of the books I've got about the Dogon people, they knew all of this. But if you took a picture of them and saw the picture, you'd think they were guys standing on 125th Street. Seriously. And so, how can it be? They wondered that they could know these things, and yet there were no telescopes, there was no instruments of measurements and things like that. But it just shows how ancient this African science is. That's all it is, Tony. And so for people that have a problem with it, that's not my problem. It is a fact of the matter. Okay, and that's what I'm going on. I'm going on my truth.
So based on going into a 6-year, a universal year, what are some of the things that you would think people should be aware of as it relates to going into 2022?
Well, you know, it's interesting because 2022 adds up to a 6, and 6 symbolically is the number of family. And everybody knows that the Black family has been decimated.
By COVID,
yeah, not just by COVID, but just by the whole circumstances. When I remember when I was at WLIB and Sonny Carson had came there and he says there's a new drug that's about to be introduced. And he said that to me in the 80s called crack. And little did I know the profound effect that drug will have on our communities. Anytime it would make a mother leave her child and break that maternal bond that is so key to a mother and her child, you know, so it's all so, you know, and then when you look at the rate of incarcerations and other things of that nature. So what we need to do is get back to family, back to the traditional things of doing stuff.
Well, what about, I know that you had mentioned health.
Yes.
And we are in this pandemic or plandemic, depending on who you talk to.
Yes.
What do you see the health-related issues, as we have a number of different variants that are popping up? How do you see 2022 in that light?
Well, you know, I tell you, Tony, to me, and this is strictly my opinion only, so your show isn't jeopardized, okay? To me, a lot of this things that goes on in this society is fear-driven. It's based upon fear of psychosis and neurosis. Okay? And I do believe that some of the things that take place may be actually who it is, but like whatever happened to Delta? Remember Delta? Delta last month? Delta ain't make no news. Everything is Omicron. So what is next? Okay? And then what is next? And then what is next? So when at first...
Fear and money, you know, fear and doubt has been a major form of control for centuries.
Yes.
And a lot of people say, well, you know, we're going to get our boosters free. But somebody is paying for that. You know, so it ain't free, you know, and they talk about the United States is in a deficit. Yeah, because they're buying all of these boosters and second boosters and third boosters and fourth boosters. And I believe, you know, we're going to be boosted, you know,
if allowed, if, you know, I do my show every Monday and Wednesday called Live with Lloyd on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. Facebook. It's called Live with Lloyd every Wednesday and Friday. And one of the things I tell my viewers occasionally is you either think for yourself, Tony, or somebody will do your thinking for you, because we all have a gray matter. Now, whether we use our thinking and critical analysis of things is one thing, but we all have a mind.
That's
okay,
true.
now there are
and
some
a choice.
Yes, and a choice. Because when this thing first started in 2020, it was saying, well, we just need to have, you know, about maybe 75% and everybody be safe and whatnot. But how can you explain a cruise ship just last week where every passenger on that ship every staff person on that ship was vaccinated, and yet there's an outbreak of COVID where they can't even land in certain ports. So it can't be said they're unvaccinated. So people will get a little upset, but I'm trying to use a little common sense too. Not to say that this doesn't exist, but let us use a little common sense up in here. Why is it one? Remember, it was just one shot. Now 2 shots. Now a booster, then another booster. So when does it end?
Well, one of the things that you also brought up, which I thought was interesting, was when we talk about diet, because I have until I was asked to stop writing about how people need to become more focused on what they eat, because if you eat foods that make your body acidic, your body becomes an open door to stuff that makes you sick.
Yeah, cancers and all those other side effects.
But if you eat foods that make your body alkaline, and if you have an alkaline body, and you can test that, it will fight off most of the. Actually, if you have a 6.9 or 7.0 pH reading, you won't get sick.
No, you won't. You won't.
And that's what the question is that why we talk about the people who are dying or getting sick, but there are millions of people who are not. What's the reason for that? Why is it that there are people who are not, sick, and have not tested positive? What is it that they're doing that's different from people? And these are people who may not even be vaccinated.
Well, a lot of them who are not vaccinated because their immune system, if you do it right and you eat the proper foods with the proper diet and exercise and meditation, okay, these are some of the factors that go together. All it does is actually boost your immune system. Did you know that when an infant is not hugged the first 2 years, that they don't turn out to be normal? Okay.
Right. That
So
Mother Hell, she's
Yes.
the one that with the crack babies.
Yes,
because
yes.
their parents wasn't around.
Yes. And so what happens is, so what do they tell you now? You must keep a distance. I cannot hug you or embrace you. That in and of itself releases things. You can't tell me a person that don't give a good hug, like you hug your mother or hug your sister or your child or your brother, that it releases things inside of you. But now I think it's interesting that the CDC says that some of these herbs really don't count anymore. Really. So my thing is, why can't there be some alternative to that which is being applied and mandated? That's it.
It's money and power, and
Well,
control.
let me say this. I know that Pfizer's made about $156 billion. I know that if you look at Bill Gates, he had tweeted that 2021 was a rough year, including for him, but he then went up to $134 billion. Okay. So what I'm saying is that somebody's making a lot of money off of this.
A lot of money.
Yes. And so, yes, they're going to make it free for you, but somebody is paying for it on the back end. Yes, on the back end. Yeah.
And so when we talk about 2022, one of the things, I always ask you the question. I was born on June the 19th, 1947.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to look at as far as in 2022 in business and relationships and all of that stuff?
Well, it's interesting. How you do it is you take the month and day you're born, then you add it to the year in question. So mentally in my mind, when I took June the 19th and added it to 2022, it factored out to the single digit of a 4. Now, your key numbers born on the 19th of June are the 1, 4, and 5. Those are your key numbers. So that tells me this year and even next year, I would hitch my wagon to your star. 4, the cycle that you're in now, is a cycle that leads one to be more structured, to be more organized, to have more of a plan of action, to not do things willy-nilly or helter-skelter or on a whim, but it is to do things with structure, organization, with alternatives thrown in. So if this is not working, they got another alternative that works with it. 4 also represents people who will assist you will be, which is Aquarians and Leos and Geminis. So you're going to be helping yourself on another level. And it also includes anybody born on the 1st, the 4th, the 10th, the 13th, because 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 3 is 4. Then the 19th, that's you, Tony, because that adds a 10, which adds to 1. Then the 22nd, then the 28th, and the 31st of the month. So that's the kind of year you're going to have. There are going to be some particular money aspects that are indicated. That will be in February. That will be in April. So, and then April's your month anyway, because see, from your birthday, your key months or power months are always in February, April, June, August, and September. You one of those rare that almost have 6 months. You got 5. You just shot 1 month. But most people have about 2 or 3 months. You know what I'm saying? You got 5 months that always favors you. So if you look at when you came into this or did that, those months of those months of February, April, June, August, and September normally your standout months.
And that's February.
Your son was born in April.
Huh?
Your son, Tony, was born in April.
No, he was born in December. My son and my mother were born on the 20th.
Oh, okay.
Of December. And my daughter was born on the 17th of December. So they are all Sagittariuses.
Yeah, I got a lot of my children are born in December and in September. So I know that around those times, I got to take it easy 9 months before I hit those months.
Yeah, I know that well. And your children must be all basically grown now too.
Yeah, they're all grown, trying to tell me what to do. I did the same thing. My mother said, "Don't you worry, son. You'll get your turn." Ma. I just didn't get it. And she didn't talk to me in a foreign language. She didn't talk to me in a high-style language. She talked to me as a woman, basically uneducated in that sense. It used a lot of common sense and mother wit.
Well, I understand that. Matter of fact, my oldest daughter, just graduated from Morgan State, yay Morgan, and I drove down, and my son said, "Dad, I remember you telling me that," because he has 4 kids, and I was trying to, tell him about that, but nevertheless, he said, now I understand
you just pops, okay?
Right, I was the only child, and he didn't want to be that way. He was the only child, so I said, "Hey, but you exactly, is correct. Where can people reach you to get consultations? I mean,
what they can do is go to
business. You just had a small piece of it, but when you sit down with Lloyd for, let's say, an hour, and he looks at your name and all of that stuff, he will tell you things that are amazing. How can people reach you, Lloyd?
One of the best ways, they can simply go to my website, Lloyd-Strayhorn. So when you see where my name is at the bottom on my screen, just put a dash in it, Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. Now, a couple of things. One, once you hit the landing page and you go down, I would encourage everybody to sign up for the free monthly newsletter that a coworker, my partner, Kaya French, and I, she's out of Detroit, we do the free monthly newsletter. And then if you want to register for the course, I have 2 courses. One is called Learn from Lloyd, How to Read a Person Like a Book, and Learn from Lloyd, The Next Step in Numerology. But it's going all over the world. I mean, it's just the most amazing thing to see that there are 195 countries around the world. I'm in 71 of them. Not bad. I remember when I first started, I was in 2 countries. I was really, as far as I'm concerned, but it just shows you, as I've always shared with my students and lectures and whatnot, that numbers are universal. I don't care what it is. It's like, no matter where you go, everybody's going to measure your blood pressure, your this, that, and the other. There's They're just things that are universal, and numbers is one of them.
What about our new mayor coming in, Eric Adams? You shared a little bit about
Well,
him.
Eric Adams is going to be entering in a 7 personal year. What I did was I took September the 1st, his birthday, added to the year of 2022, and that factored out to a total of 7. 7 is one of those cycles, Tony, where a lot of people don't like a 4 cycle and a 7 cycle. The 4 cycle, because you got to put in the work. See, you and I are old school. We know we got to put in the work, okay, to get it. Nowadays, with this new generation, Generation X, Y, Z, and beyond, whatever new name they got to it, they've got this sense of entitlement. You know what I'm saying? That you entitled to do something for me. Where we come out of a totally, totally different generation, Tony, that we had to put in the work to get what we wanted. Okay.
And still do.
So the 7 cycle that the new the new mayor will be going through is a 7. Now, a lot of people don't like a 7. I shouldn't say they don't like it. They just don't understand it. A 7, when you're in a 7 cycle year, that's more of a spiritual cycle. It's more of a cycle that makes you reflect and ask or question why you do the things you do. Okay. It is a cycle whereby whatever you want, you got to think about it. You know what I'm saying? 7 is like a magnet. In other words, if you put a magnet close to an object, the object will come close to the magnet. However, if you turn the polarity of the magnet around and push it to the object will move away. So the rule will be for Eric Adams, New York Mayor Eric Adams, or anyone going through a 7, is not to chase after what they want, but see in their minds what they want on the mental screen of their minds. And then that's when the elders say you let go and let God. But if he's chasing, let's say it's not just Eric Adams, but anybody going through a 7. Let's say they're walking around all year saying, I don't have no money. I don't have no money. The way they're thinking like that in the 7 cycle, they will make sure they have no money. In a 7 cycle, secret to reveal that things have been hidden come to light, come to the surface. It's a cycle where desire is to go somewhere where there's the sand, the sea, and the sun, to just be left alone to figure out what they're going to do. In a 7 cycle, they will tell you that he will probably be having what are called very strange and or prophetic dreams, a feeling of deja vu, things of that nature. And the fact that he's a Virgo, which is a health sign in the zodiac, it doesn't surprise me. In fact, he is now more plant-based in his dietary laws. He got his mother in a plant-based, and all these so-called diseases that he's supposed to have had just by a change of diet.
In 30 days.
Yeah.
You know, his new book, Healthy at Last, I believe is right.
Yeah. It
was
and
show.
He's done
Going
that.
blind, you know.
So
Matt said, what month should I push my cards to the center of the table?
Okay, well, in his case, born on the 20th of April. See, once I'm established in the months, then I can determine your numbers, and then from there I can determine your days and your months. So he should always put his cards front and center on the table on Mondays and Fridays, especially in March, especially in May, especially in July, and especially in the month of October. And so for him, for example, he is going through March the 20th, adding it to 2022, a 3 personal year. Now, you may not know what that means, but here's what it means to me. Each number rules a planet, and the number 3 rules the planet of Jupiter. Jupiter has been called the good luck planet, the planet of prosperity, the planet of expansion. So he's going to have a heck of a year. I mean, really, 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 money, finances. If there've been any legal, semi-legal matters, they will be definitely resolved in his favor.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm looking. I guess for this year, I got to play 145.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of ways I would play your numbers. One is 0619, that way. Yeah, because you were born on the 19th of June. So I would play that 0615, 19 rather. And also another way I would play it is 0145.
Okay. 0145. I gotta
Mhm,
remember those.
mhm. Now, when I say these numbers, when I take now people do a Q&A or question and answer, and I'll have them write down their information. Then I'll ask them, what was your mother's birthday? What was your father's birthday? What was, and you should see as they begin to underscore the months that are listed, how there's this expression of change or amazement comes over their face. If a person can be, Tony, in the wrong place at the wrong time, how come you can't be in the right place at the right time? I mean, can we use some logic up in here? Okay, some common sense, as they say. Now, this lady Sandy says, "What's 2022 looking like for a pregnant Aquarius?" Well, it all depends. So, one, is she a January Aquarius, or two, is she a February Aquarius? And if so, three, what day in January was she born under the constellation of Aquarius, or what date under February under the constellation of Aquarius was she born? That would make a difference, and that will tell quite a bit too. So if she just chimed back about her exact date, I can also tell her whether it's going to be a boy or a girl too. January 31st, okay, Jackie Robinson's birthday. Little things like that. Tony, you know me. So anyway,
yes.
So here's the thing with her. So when I did it, she happens to be in a 2 personal year. So that means there's a better than average chance she is likely to give birth somewhere in and around late. That's the 2. So that would be late March into April, especially around the 3rd week, or late May into June. I don't know when the babies are due. Now, it all depends. See, there are 2 questions I would pose to her. 1, how old was she when she conceived? 2, and 2, what month did she conceive? So let's say she's 31. I'll use her birthday, okay? And she conceived in April. Well, 31 plus 4 gives me 35. The fact that it would turn out to be an odd number means that more than likely she is likely to have a boy. But if it had been 31 plus the other month that would add up to an even number, it would be a girl. Due in February. Yes, 42 years old. All right. So that tells me, so if the baby's due in February, she was 41 at the time. Okay. And if the baby's born in February, that means she conceived in May, which is none of my business. Okay. But so 41 plus May, May or 5 would make 46. So that means there's a higher than average chance she probably have a girl.
Mm. And again, for those who might not have a pencil, how are they able to reach you? Your website?
Yes.
And your books. Can you get your books from the website?
No, what they do is even better. They can get it on they just order from Amazon. Just go right there, Lloyd-Strayhorn.com, and click on sign up for the free monthly newsletter, sign up for the online course, and also as far as the books are concerned, just order them through Amazon.
Question, the birth dates of your parents, does that have a significant relationship to the individual?
The birthday of the parents? Yes,
yeah.
Definitely. And this would explain why one parent would prefer or treat one of their children better than the rest. Okay, because of the numbers that are similar.
You know, because both my parents were born on the 20th. My mom was December the 20th, and my dad was he's a Taurus, so
that would make him April 20th.
April 20th. What?
I think there's math.
What, you know, and I'm the 19th, so I guess I was in between them, right, in some kind of way.
Yeah, but you were born in 1947, which means, Tony, you were conceived in 1946. That's when your parents conceived you. And if you add 1, see, she said she's having a girl. See, Tony? See? That's all I'm saying, buddy. Okay.
Numbers are you.
Yeah, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, as they said in Hidden Figures. But the point is, if you were born in June, July, August, September, you were actually conceived somewhere around mid-late September of 1946. Well, it may not mean anything to you, and then you arrived on the following year of June 19th of 1947. But if you add 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 6, that gives you 20.
Wow.
It's a coincidence, right? That's how the people do me. Oh, there's got to be a coincidence. If you understand the laws of nature and the laws of God, there are no accidents.
And, it's just wonderful. We've been talking to each other for so many years. And the fact that numbers are so much a part of everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that we do that cannot be factored into some sort of number or measurement.
That's true.
It's almost amazing to me how people tend to not like math.
But it's designed to not see, because with math you can build. With math you can manage your money. Isn't that interesting? As long as the educational system has been in place, they do not teach elementary kids, junior high, high school kids about monies, about making money, about understanding the principle of compound interest. None of this. So
which is so great for Yana Woodhouse and the stuff that she does.
Now you talk to Yana, she'll tell you. She'll work a compound number in a heartbeat. Okay. So, but no, and I think it's more deliberate. Like even Leo Kawasaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Mm-hmm. They do not teach people about finances, about understanding money. You know, it's like in our communities, in our days, Tony, it was like, what? You go to school, you get a good education, then you get a job. It wasn't about building. It wasn't about expanding your base. It wasn't about understanding the principles of compound interest or pay yourself first rule. None of those things. So you have kids now just thinking, well, I work and, now apply for a job at a fast food place or whatever the case is. And so people are starving. Now, they says, okay, they'll raise, I think it's like $15 an hour, right, Tony? So they've had this debate. So they says, okay, we will increase the minimum wage in 2 years. Tony, do you think milk is going to be the same in 2 years? You think food is going to be the same in 2 years? So what that tells me, Tony, yes, you may get the raise in 2 years, but the cost of inflation will already wipe that out. So it's like taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. I'm sorry. That's how I see it.
And plus, some of the things that we talk about, I'm looking at Matt. Should I try to finalize contracts before the year ends or wait until January to finalize things?
Well, there's going to be a phenomenon that takes place 4 times this year, which is called Mercury Retrograde. Mercury rules your sign of Gemini and the sign of Eric Adams, Virgo.
Mercury, and Matt and Matt McCoy is April, right?
Yeah, but he's a Taurus. He's under the sign of Taurus. He's Taurus Aries, okay?
Yeah, Matt's the one that asked the question.
Yes, but what I was going to say to him, yes, to a degree he should, but he needs to do it before January the 14th because Mercury will be going, not only, Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. This year it's going retrograde 4 times a year. The first retrograde is going to be on January the 14th all the way through February the 3rd. So the sooner he can lock some things in now, the better. After the 14th, I would not have him wake up and says, okay, let me go into this contract, because that's when things go, haywire. Lloyd, you said meet me at 3. No, Tony, you said meet me at 4. This is when partners and relationships have misunderstandings. I thought you said this. No, I thought you said that. And then once Mercury goes direct on the 3rd of February, people are trying to figure out what they're arguing about. And when they lose miscommunications, missteps, mishaps. Here's how I tell a person, You and I are products of New York City. We've been on the subway countless times where we're on the express train, and that there's at some point in that tunnel where the local is going along at the same speed. However, as the local is coming into the station, it slows down, which gives the impression that the train is actually going backwards. It's not going backwards, it's just slowed down.
Right.
So thus communication is slowed down. If you got an important appointment and under all circumstances, it should take you no more than 15 minutes to get there, then you should add another 15 minutes on in case of a delay or whatever. This is when people have all kinds of challenges and whatnot, misunderstandings. Cars act up, phones act up, computers act up. You lose things. Now, one of the advantage of Mercury retrograde is if you lost something, a pair of glasses around the house or something, you can probably find it when Mercury's retrograde.
Now, question: retrograde will be the first one, the 14th until when?
The 14th until February the 3rd.
Okay, because I'm planning a fan trip to Senegal, March 2nd to March 9th.
Well, Mercury will not affect you at that point.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Mercury will not affect you at that point. So I think in that way it's good. Okay. And as for her, what she can expect for the coming year, this Sandy, Alexis, what I did was I took the month and day, and she is in a transitional year. She's in a year where right now there's some things kind of iffy or up in the air with her. That's been actually since late September, October, just a couple of months back. And it relates to either a sudden or gradual change in either relationships or the workplace or some changes in the home. So, for example, it makes sense more change in the home since the baby is due next month, to bring a crib in, rearrange the room for the baby and stuff like that. Also, she's been changing her diet too.
Well, one of the things that has been amazing to me when people kind of say, oh, how can that really numerology and all of those things? In reading your books and doing my own research, I mean, wars were won based on numbers. I remember reading a piece where the United States had numerologists study numbers because Hitler was into numbers and numerology.
That's exactly right.
And to figure out what he was going to do based on where the numbers were. And they were able to the spies were numerologists.
Yes, well, you are absolutely right. In fact, since the beginning of time, men of power have always used the metaphysics. J.P. Morgan, for example, the famous financier in his day in the early 1900s, when approached by the media, which is the local newspapers, asked, was it true that astrology make millionaires? He says, no, it makes billionaires. Because Evangeline Adams, an astrologer at that time, taught him not only astrology, but he also had an astrologer on his staff. So although he died on March the 31st of 1913, okay, J.P. Morgan still exists. Charles Schwab also had an astrologer on staff. And to this day, you still have Charles Schwab, okay? So it appears that those that used it back in the day. And in fact, what happens is there was a question about the sinking of the Titanic in April of 1912, that how come J.P. Morgan didn't go on it? And J.P. Morgan owned the White Star Line. He owned the Titanic, okay? And actually, when it set sail from England, it was supposed to land in the United States on April the 17th of 1912. 1912. But what happens is that's the same birthday as J.P. Morgan, the man that financed the White Star Line. So, but he was told that Mercury was going to be retrograde, which is bad for miscommunications. And in fact, when the Titanic hit the iceberg and they sent out a signal, the ship closest to the Titanic never got the signal. But the signal, the ship furthest away from the Titanic, in fact, did. So by the time it got there, they lost thousands of passengers. Okay, so a little history. That's all.
Well, again, can you specify the 4 Mercury retrogrades in 2022?
They're all under Earth signs this year. Okay, so one is on the 14th, then one is in May, then one is in September, then the other one is on January the 29th. December the 29th going into January of 2023. But they're all under Earth signs. Now, I don't have all of it at the top of my head because I've got so much, but what they can do is simply Google and find out Mercury retrograde for 2022.
And again, for those who are listening, we're at the holiday gift giving. If you contact Lloyd and schedule an appointment for you or a loved one or a family member, believe me, if you're listening to this and you think that this is something, when he gets all of your basic information, he can tell you things that are amazing. And what is amazing to me is that how so many people in authority use numerology and astrology, but tend to not want you to understand that they do that.
No, that's right. So you're right. Getting back to Hitler. So when the astrologers defected to England, they used the knowledge of what he had against Hitler. Ronald Reagan used when there was the attempted assassination of Ronald Wilson Reagan on March the 30th of 1981 in front of the Hilton Hotel in downtown DC. It was that moment on that Nancy Reagan hired Kathleen Quinn to then make sure that he did not make any moves until she checked his chart.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and, I mean, there's a lot of things that, but they play it down. So they got you reading the just very generic descriptions in the newspapers. But this stuff is very serious. Napoleon, too, was warned about his Waterloo in 1815. Okay. So, people take it for granted, but this stuff is hundreds of thousands of years old. It is very accurate. And yet they want to keep people in the dark. But yet, do you know the Wall Street has a newsletter, an astrology newsletter that you can subscribe to? They'll tell you the birthday of the stock or the company, because just as you have a date of birth, then each company has a DOA or date of incorporation or whatever, DOI. And so just as a company has a birthday, and we as individuals have a birthday, so it makes a difference. It makes a difference. That's why I got all these books in my collections of numerology and stuff.
So the stock exchange has a numerology.
Yes, the New York Stock Exchange was founded on May 17th in the 1700s. Now, people have to understand, it was founded on May 17th. 1 + 7 is 8, which is a money number, okay? But then it is under the sign of Taurus, the bull. So when the stock market is doing well, don't they say the stock market is what? Bullish. Yes. Mm-hmm. And if you go down to Wall Street, which we've done on countless times, you see that big old bull outside of Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's so many things obvious in your face, man. I mean, I don't get it. I get it, but they want people sleep.
Well, again, just with the number 13, which is in your book.
Yes.
How people have thought that number 13 was bad luck, but there's so much power in the number 13 that, is hidden.
Yeah, but see, the United States understood the power of 13 because
they're all Masons or Rosicrucians.
And they were founded, the United States was formed on the 4th of July. Well, 13 is a higher octave. They say that is because 1 + 3 is 4. So the United States started off with 13 colonies, 13 ships that guarded it. The flag had 13 stars, 13 stripes. The writer of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, was born on the 13th of the month. It was signed at 1300 Locust Street in Philadelphia by 13 signers of the Declaration. E pluribus unum, 13 letters. The White House, 13 letters. Don't tread on me, 13 letters, right? And there's much more. But the point is, When you do 1 plus 3 is 4, a president is elected how many years? Every 4 years. If you go to DC, it's northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, which is 4 divisions. If you look at the zip code to Washington, D.C. is 20002, which is a 4. If you look at the area code of Washington, D.C. is 202, which is a 4.
In the short time we have, there are 3 numbers. There are 3 buildings that are going to be in my life in 2022. One is 23 West 116th Street.
That building is on the corner, near the corner.
Yeah. The other one is 40 West 116th Street, and the other one is 46 West 116th Street.
Tony, I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. I said your key numbers are the 1s, the 4s, and the 5s. Well, the first building you get is building number 23. Well, 2 plus 3 is 5. Then the next building you had was 40. Well, that's your number. Your numbers are 1, 4, and 5. And then the other building is 46. Well, 4 plus 6 is 1, and 1 plus 0 is 1. And people say, well, that's just a coincidence, because people don't know how to explain it any other way. And that's my job.
So one of the things, hopefully, again, we've been doing this for years. And as I indicate, there are 2 reasons. A selfish reason that I have you on every year is, one, because I love you, brother.
Yeah,
but
no,
you tell me stuff that is amazing. And I always write that what we consider a coincidence is a message from the mind of the universe. So if anyone is looking at this for the first time and they don't know Lloyd Strayhorn, there's a reason for that also. And Lloyd, you're amazing. You're I'm glad that I've known you for half a century and more, and your family.
We have a great relationship.
And you have given me so much good advice. I would suggest people to call Lloyd, which is busy now because he's universal. How many countries are you in now?
71 countries, and translated into 23 languages.
Countries.
Translated into 23 languages. Yep.
Which is amazing, brother. I remember when you first started the number thing,
Yep. You were one of the few that could say, I knew the brother since when. Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, Lloyd, thank you so much for spending
Thank you so much,
time.
Tony. This has been a pleasure.
And I know Matt is listening.
Yeah, tell Matt I'm going to give him a call later.
And for Matt, 46 West 116th Street is going to be an important number for he and I. And 40 and 23, I guess things happen the way they're supposed to, huh?
Well, here's the thing for me. Each number, when you said building number 23, that to me tells me that this building that you're going to be at is either on or near the corner. If not, it's in the middle of the block or kind of in the cul-de-sac. One. The other building, 40, means there's something odd and unusual about this building compared to the building on the left and the right side of it. Like building number 40 could be structurally different, the way you come in, the way you go out, taller, wider, longer, something of that nature. Building number 46 is headquarters because it adds up to a 10, which is a 1. And ones always rule headquarters: law, medicine, science, entrepreneurs, businesses, things of that nature, stuff like that.
And plus, I'm a number 1, so.
That's what I'm saying, Tony.
Well, thank you, Lloyd. Wishing you and your loved ones a happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll do this again. I mean, we always talk on my birthday. Lloyd always, wherever he is, if I can, and he broadcasts, he always wishes me happy birthday because the brother never forgets numbers. He can tell you.
Issues, Tony. I tell people I have issues, but it's nice. It's nice.
It's a good issue.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Thank you,
my
Tony.
regards. And tell Skip, we have to get together. We've been trying to get together for a minute, but I did run into Skip. So that's a good thing.
Very good. Very, very good. So listen, you take good care in the meantime. All the best to you and your family, and all the best to everybody that listening and tuned in. And congratulations to that mother-to-be next month when she mother of a baby girl.
Lloyd-Strayhorn.com.
Yep, Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. Mm-hmm.
Take care, my brother. And
Thank
we'll
you,
be
Tony.
back next week. I appreciate it. What a great way to begin the end of the year and start a new one with Lloyd Strayhorn.
Amen. Amen. We do this every year for about 20 years, so we might as well keep it going.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Take care, my brother.
Bye now.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Bye. And that's it for today. Again, I wish everyone a happy Kwanzaa and a happy New Year. And keep in mind, if you have to do things, we have a Mercury retrograde coming in around the 14th of January. So you want to get stuff done at that time. Take care and see you soon. Signing off. Tony Rogers, Urbanology, WHCR, Soul City TV. Thank you for being a host while we're in this pandemic. This is Tony.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.